much, Charlie, and thank you for everybody for joining, especially those that are up bright and early. Super appreciate the time, and I'll dive right in. So who is Nimmo Bay? Nimmo Bay is a family-owned and operated company. In the middle here, you have Deborah and Craig Murray. That's my aunt and uncle, and they started the lodge 40 years ago. They had two little boys. You can see them down here, Clifton and Fraser, and they had no money and basically just had a dream of creating a space to bring people together and to connect with nature. So they had a small 4-roomed floating house and dragged it into the middle of nowhere. And from there, here we are 40 years later, and their eldest son, Fraser, and his wife, Becky, have taken over the operation. They have 2 little girls, River and Fauna, and the 4 of them live on site during the season to welcome and host all the guests. So where is Nimmo Bay? Nimmo Bay is located in the heart of the Great Bear Rainforest. So we have a map here. This is Vancouver Island, assuming that you're all somewhat familiar with the West Coast. Vancouver is just kind of off of the map here. And so Nimmo Bay team handles all of the travel from Vancouver. So from Vancouver, it is a chartered wheeled aircraft up to Port Hardy, which is right here. It's a 1-hour flight, so quite quick. And then from Port Hardy into Nimmo Bay, it's a 20-minute float plane ride. So basically, you leave Vancouver at about 4 p.m. and you get into Nimmo Bay by 6 p.m. You can arrive from other destinations like Tofino or Victoria, Whistler with a direct chartered flight, and guests can also drive up to Port Hardy. So there are a couple of options, but again, it's all arranged through our team. So we just kind of keep close with the travel plans to make sure that the arrival and departures do work, because it is a set arrival and departure time. You can just see in the bottom picture here, this is one of the goose that is just departing out of Nimmo Bay. So this is just kind of a good footprint of Nimmo Bay, just to give you a good idea of this actual size of our property. We are quite small and quite intimate. We have a total of 9 cabins, 6 intertidal cabins that sit just above the edge of the water line there. The tide actually rolls underneath and comes out. We have another 3 cabins that are called our forest cabins, and they're tucked into the forest in this area right here. There is an on-site waterfall. You can kind of see it's kind of shadowed that through there, and there's the stream coming out. So that's where the waterfall is. The forest cabins are just tucked in there. We have 2 wellness spaces. One that's actually, this is a little bit of an older photo, one that's located just beyond the cabins here, and another one that's tucked up into the waterfall as well. We have a yoga room here and a gear room. Then moving downward, we have 4 helipads, and then basically beyond the helipads, the rest of the lodge or the resort is floating. So you walk down the docks. This is our main lodge. We are very, very excited. We are getting a new lodge this year. So it's been 40 years of the same structure that my aunt and uncle brought out. It's been renovated many times, but so that's a pretty big and exciting step for us. It's getting towed up to the lodge next week. So we don't have photos yet, but they are to come. But it'll still be in the same space. And then we have our fire dock out front. So I'll go through the physical part of the resort first, and then I'll dive into the more of the experiences. So starting off with the accommodations, as I mentioned, we have a total of 9 cabins, 6 intertidal and 3 forest cabins. And all of the cabins have 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, and a lounge area. They're about 800 square feet, so they're quite large and comfortable. We can accommodate 2 people, 2 friends, couple, or we can accommodate a young family. So any kid that's under the age of 12 does stay in a cabin with their family. So young families of 4 or 5, we can absolutely accommodate in the cabins. The forest cabins are on the bottom here, and the intertidal cabin on the top. So you can tell the intertidal cabins are more of that white, clean look. They have been newly renovated, and they all have the water views. And then the forest cabins are nestled into the forest. You can't really see in this picture, but the waterfall's just beyond this cabin here. And they have the wood paneling, so they're quite cozy and comfortable as well. Guests can choose to book a cabin type based on availability, but when it actually comes down to the exact cabin, that is something that our team decides where the guests will go, but we always accept any requests. So then moving on to kind of more of the resort amenities, we have our 2 cedar hot tubs that are at the base of the waterfall here. You can kind of see there's a couple of steps in through the forest that actually lead you to this building here. So this is one of our wellness spaces. So basically what we try to create at Nimmo Bay with most of the things that we do is finding spaces that we can host different activities or different or have just multi-purpose. So this is primarily used for wellness, so massage, yoga, meditation, but is immersed into the forest and by the waterfall. So again, just really connecting with nature is something that you'll find throughout all of the things that we do. So all of our buildings are structured in that way as well. And then you have the lodge and the fire dock down on the top photos here. So the fire dock is really where the guests start and finish the day. You can often see black bears in the back of the bay here in the morning. And then at night, of course, as you can see in that picture, everyone huddled around the fire. Kids make s'mores and roast marshmallows. Parents and friends share stories and jokes. So it's really kind of the hub of Nimmo Bay. And the guests do have their breakfast and dinner primarily in the lodge as well. And their lunch is often done while they're out on an adventure. But this is just a great place to kind of hang out and connect with one another. So diving into more of the Nimmo experience. So if there's one thing that you take away from this whole presentation, it's really that Nimmo Bay really strives to offer the most personalized service and customized itineraries as we can. It's really what we kind of differentiate ourselves from other lodges on the West Coast. I mean, we are located in a beautiful location and we have access to diverse and abundant wildlife and great activities, but it's really that level of service that we really pride ourselves in and how we really strive to go above and beyond for our guests. So there's no set itineraries at Nimmo Bay. It's really about the guest arriving, getting to know them, getting to understand what their trip intentions are, what their interests and desires are, and then together with our team, we build up their itinerary, always with lots of flexibility. So the lodge accommodates about 18 to 24 guests, and we have 60 staff members, about 50 on site at all times. So just given our staff to guest ratio, that really allows us to provide a lot of flexibility and what we call sprinkles of Nimmo magic all throughout our guests' time with us. So we have an inclusive package throughout our whole season. We have two seasons within our season. It's a little confusing, but our inclusive package includes our accommodation, our meals, house alcohol, resort amenities, and then our kind of resort-based activities. So those activities are the activities that are kind of in our own backyard, if you will. So hiking, kayaking, paddleboarding. In this bottom picture here, this is our floating sauna. So this is actually in the bay next to Nimmo Bay. So it's in a bay all by itself, floating. So, I mean, the sauna itself kind of gives a lot of options for guests. They can often hike into the forest and then take a little boat over, and then they can kayak back. Or oftentimes with families, they kind of just like to hang out on the dock out there in the middle of the wilderness, and we'll bring, we have the kayaks there, and we'll bring some tubes and things. The kids can play in the water, and everyone kind of just hang out on the dock. We can serve lunches out there, and of course do early morning sauna steams is pretty amazing as well. So moving into our trip enhancements, so beyond our base package, guests can further customize their trips with trip enhancements. Our most popular enhancement would be called our coastal safari. And so again, within all of these enhancements, there's no set itinerary. It's just kind of the tools that the guests will use to fulfill their day's adventure. So the coastal safari is a boating day. And the boating activities can be the wildlife. So we have orca whales, humpback whales, dolphins, sea lions, eagles, and they're all, we see them on a daily basis out there when we're out in the waters during the season. So oftentimes it might not even be a focus, but ends up kind of being a highlight of the day because you just come across it while you're out and adventuring. We also can put kayaks and paddle boards onto the boats and then go into some remote locations, and again, especially with families, just kind of hang out. We do waterfall tours, and then we do kind of more cultural experiences as well. There's a few remote communities right in our neighborhood, and so there's many artists that live out there. There's a museum. There's some First Nations museum as well. So going out and kind of exploring and diving in a little deeper within the close community is another experience that guests really like to explore. And we also have a salmon research station and conservation station that we can visit as well. Our heli ventures and heli fishing. So when Deb and Craig started the lodge 40 years ago, I think it was about 3 years into them starting the lodge, they decided to do heli ventures and heli fishing. And so that was all they did for the first 25 years of our operation. And they were, I think, among the first in North America to offer heli fishing. So heli fishing, for those who don't know, is when you take a helicopter and you fly into remote rivers and fish those rivers. So our heli venture and heli fishing packages are exclusive packages, so it would be only the group that's on that specific helicopter. And again, like everything else, it's all customized. So the day can be a full day of heli fishing, going from different river to another river, or it can be a mix of activities. So maybe you start the day on a heli hike, and then you go to a glacier for lunch, and then you end the day on a remote beach location. So again, it's just all tailored to exactly what the guests want to experience. The helicopter stays with the group all through the day. Again, just allowing that flexibility to kind of get up and move on to the next experience throughout the day. Next, we have the couples getaway enhancement. So really what this enhancement allows our team to do is just to really focus on creating intimate experiences for the guests and adding the romance and, again, that little Nemo magic all along the way. The amenity itself includes a welcome amenity, so like a physical amenity like champagne and chocolates. It kind of changes based on what we have going on at the lodge at the time, but like a welcome amenity. And then we have a private dining experience as well as a private adventure. So again, those private adventures and the private dining experience is based on what we think will best suit the couple. So sometimes the dining experience can be as simple as breakfast in bed. Other times it can be something a little bit more extravagant, like going out on the boat for a sunset cruise right before dinner, or having this remote lunch out on the sauna dock or in one of our other many remote locations that we have access to. Next up, we have our culinary experience. So this is actually a brand new experience this year, so we're very excited to launch it and see where it takes us. And but basically, what it allows for the guests to do is get to know our kitchen staff. So you go out to a remote location with our culinary team and learn about the plants and the wildlife under the water, and together forage basically all the ingredients for a meal, and then our culinary team cooks it up right there in front of you, while our beverage team puts together a cocktail, again, based on some of the things that have been foraged from the land. So again, it's a very intimate experience and really allows the guests to connect with nature and connect with the food that is right off of the land. We also, depending on the trip and the interest, we also have work with free divers that go down as part of the experience and, excuse me, and get food from under the water as well. And last but not least, we have our wellness experiences. So this is something that we've really been building on over the last 3 or 4 years. And our wellness experiences can be anything from, a simple massage or kind of your standard massage to something a little bit more deep and about connecting more within yourself, within the wild. So that can be a full day experience that is put together with our practitioners. And they basically curate something very unique and special to really kind of dig in a little deeper, so some of those activities can be massages, meditation, journaling, forest bathing, going to the sauna, yoga, all those kinds of activities. So it's really, again, customized to what the guest is looking to get out of the experience. And the other kind of interesting thing that we offer with our wellness experiences is doing things off-site. So as you saw earlier in the presentation, we have those spaces that we can facilitate different treatments in. But alternatively, we also have these spaces outside and more within nature that we can do it. So this picture up here, it's just a platform basically, and it's right on the edge of the coastline. So going out there and having these remote treatments, or going to the sauna dock where you're literally the only thing in the middle of the whole day. So again, just making it super intimate and being able to really connect with yourself and connect with nature. And that brings me to the end of the presentation. So I'll just summarize. Nimmo Bay is a family-owned and operated resort remotely located in the Great Bear Rainforest. We offer personalized service and customized itineraries with the intentions of connecting people, connecting within, and connecting with nature. And now we will open the floor to any questions.
Jenny, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Wow, that's just, yeah, absolutely amazing. I was joking before about how I think everybody needs to escape there, but no, I think you you really do. In these challenging times, I think, yes, everyone's looking at that going, oh, it'd be nice to be there right now. We could do with a few of
Yeah.
those wellness experiences, that's for sure. Love that
Yeah.
last picture of the hot tub as well, of the bath on the hot stones. That looks good.
Yeah, that's actually out on a shoreline. Like that's not even at Nimmo Bay. And anyway, so it's just kind of creating these unique spaces and special experiences for guests.
Yeah, special, that's for sure. So thank you so much for that. The floor's open for questions, everybody. If anybody has any questions, please type them in to the chat box. So Shelley has asked, what is the best time to view marine life, etc.?
So the marine wildlife is best from July through till the third week of September is when we start to see things kind of shift. We do still see marine wildlife in September, October, as well as earlier in the season, but it's just not as reliable or as abundant. And then our grizzly bear season is best in September through October. And then black bears we see in May. We see like the little tiny black bear cubs in May, which is pretty special because they grow so quickly. But you see them along the shores with their moms, like teaching them how to turn rocks and things. So that's pretty unique to that month. And then we actually don't see a lot of bear wildlife in June because they kind of just go in behind their shoreline. And then, like I said, it kind of starting in July again, they start to peek out around the shorelines again.